good, everybody? Welcome back to Universal Teas. It's the People's Podcast with your girl Toya. And for this episode, I actually decided to merge two episodes because I did miss one episode this month, and this is the one for this week. And so I looked at the titles that I had for them and decided to just merge them. So the title of the first episode was going to be Call to Action. The second one was going to be Yes You, Believing in the Calling. And so I just decided to merge those two episodes together because I felt like they actually do go hand in hand, right? Being called to action, being called to act in a certain thing. But even before getting to that action, you have to believe that you are the one that's called. So I'm going to break those two things down. First, how are y'all? We are going into our last week of Black History Month. And the days have been dang. Like February came in and left out like it had somewhere to go. Okay. In my life, I have just been trying to find steadiness and balance mentally and emotionally, and just kind of get into a place where I'm being more open to hear, right? To hear myself and to hear what and how I should be moving and navigating. And I've been actually paying more attention to my calling and trying to really decipher how I'm supposed to be moving within it. And so I think that these episodes, for this episode, because like I said, I'm combining two titles, but it's one, it's very timely for me. I even cried a little bit right in my show notes today because I feel this so strongly. And so I hope that the message resonates and gets to the ears of the person that it's for. I hope that's you. I hope you hear it, and maybe if it's not you, you know of somebody who it is for, and you send this to them. But all in all, I just really hope that I'm able to just clearly articulate how this was deposited into me to get you all to see and understand how I saw it. And so let's get into all the things. Now, this episode, we're talking about being called to action, but first believing in the calling. And so I wanted to start with defining what action is. And then I wanted to define what a calling is. So the definition I have for action is the fact or process of doing something, typically to achieve an aim. And a calling is a strong urge toward a particular way of life or career. And so let's talk about action. So being called to action. When you are, let's first break down called. Okay. This is a strong urge toward a particular way of life. So I've talked time and time and time again about that thing or those things, that idea that constantly comes to you, that constantly nags you. You could be sitting in silence, or you could be sitting in a room having a conversation in the middle of work, and you get this idea, you get this feeling that you should be doing something. That's your calling, right? And this is a particular way of life. And I love that it mentioned like a way of life, because it kind of shifts us out of this mindset that is just like career, just like a job, just like work, which it can be. You can be called to a particular career, but a way of life is also something that you're called to. Something that you have to put into the earth is something that you're called to. A thing that you're constantly being nudged at. And it's that thing that's like, it would be a good idea, or I would really like to, or it would be cool if I could. Those things, you have to remove the skepticism around them, or stop making them like an option or a what if. Those things can absolutely be definite, especially if they keep coming to you. That is the thing that you're called to. That's the thing that you're called to do, to produce, to make, to put into the earth. And so you have to learn to believe that that calling is yours. This may be a thing that is a calling and you recognize it because it's something that's not particularly common in the spaces that you possess, amongst the people that you're around. So you want to understand that you might think like, oh, it's weird, or it might be kind of cool. You might think it's off kilter because no one around you is kind of naming it, but that makes it even more more dominant or more prominent rather, that this is indeed what you're called to do or called to be or called to say or called to act or create. So I want you all to recognize that. And so then when we talk about an action, the fact or process of doing something typically to achieve an aim. And so when you move and when we're called to action, you're called, right, for a particular thing, or you're called or you're urged towards a particular thing. But you have to understand that the action is the fact. That's what makes it factual, is the action, right? So in the calling portion, I just mentioned that we kind of say it's the what if, or if I could, or it would be cool if. But when you start to move in that thing, when you start to act in that thing, that's what makes it the fact. That's what makes it factual. That's what stamps it to be real. And this can also be the process of doing something. And you have an aim, right? So your calling is what you're called to do. That's your aim. That's what you're trying to get to. But the action is what stamps it. The process of doing it with that particular aim is what stamps it. And so I want us to understand what those two words mean, because we're going to be talking within them a whole lot. So understanding that being called to action, that's what that means. That's what that entails, is understanding what it is that keeps nudging you, what it is that you're urged to do, create, become, or the way in which you are being called to live. And the action is what makes it a fact. It's the stamp for the process to get you to the thing that you're aiming towards, or that you're called to create. Okay? So moving on from that, I want you to understand that you're called to act on a certain thing, but you first have to believe that the call is for you. We oftentimes, like I mentioned, think that our calling is just a cool idea. Like, it would be cool if, or what if this, or you're throwing out all these what ifs and these scenarios and these kind of one-off things that you're thinking are just small. But you have to understand that you're being called because it keeps nudging you. It keeps coming to you. And people may just say, yeah, that's cool. Or, yeah, that's a nice idea. I never thought about it that way. But you have to understand that this is your calling. You're called to act on a certain thing because you first have to believe it, right? So you can see it, but you have to understand, like, this is for you. You're passing on the message and you're telling somebody else that it's a good idea because you may not think that you're the one to do it, or you may think that you're called to pass a message, and that's not the case. You're called because it's for you, and believing that calling. I think we sometimes struggle to believe in what we're called to because we don't believe in ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. We haven't built up our confidence and our self-esteem. And so start there. Start believing that you are the person that can fulfill that. We shun things off, and that's a very clear reflection, or a very clear mirror to what we believe about ourselves on a personal level. So we have to understand that you have to learn to believe in what it is that you keep seeing, what you keep being nudged to do or create or become. And that belief comes from your confidence. That belief comes from the trust in yourself. And I learned that trust actually means confidence. Actually, confidence means trust. And so you have to understand that you have to first learn and develop and flex the muscle of confidence, right? In order to believe it. I believe that I can do a certain thing. I believe, and this is where affirmations come into play. This is why affirmations have become such a big thing, because it strengthens your belief. If you say it enough, and so it shall be. And so you have to believe that you are the person to put forth the action to fulfill this calling, because it's not going to stop bothering you. If it's not a nuisance, then you that's not yours. Okay. And so you got to think too, when I talk about the belief, we first have to believe that we're the one being called. Like, you have to know, like, baby, that's your phone ringing. You ever been somewhere and there's like somebody's phone ringing and everybody around the room is kind of looking around, and you in the room and you looking around because you don't believe that it's your phone ringing? No, baby, that's your phone. And everybody in the room is like, that's your phone. And you're in disbelief that it's your phone. This is the same type of thing, baby. That call is coming to you. You have to live in that. You have to believe that. And sometimes you would look at the phone like, that is not my phone, arguing back and forth. Everybody in the room will know it's yours except for you. You can't let that be the case when it comes to your calling over your life. Because we get in spaces, and I've been here, and I'm learning to graduate from being this person who people can tell me like what they see for me and where they can see, my platform going, or what they can see and how much they believe in me. But until I believe in myself, until I can say and stamp, yes, that's mine. Yes, I'm going to get there. This is the work that I'm doing. It's idle. It's empty. It's null and void, and it doesn't mean anything. But you have to understand that, baby, that's your phone ringing. That's all you. Pick it up. Pick it up, and whatever the instructions are on the other side of that, put it into action. And so getting to belief means building confidence. And it has to happen in small portions. Because sometimes we come from spaces, and if you've ever been mentally strained, if you've ever been depressed, if you're overly anxious, if you deal with things like this, that confidence, that in itself sounds terrifying. To be bold in a world that's allowed you, or that's caused you to feel harm, to feel worthless, to feel pain, to feel betrayal, to feel hurt, heartbreak, in a world that's made you feel all those things, of course, trying to be confident is going to seem intimidating. Because what? Getting to belief is a chunk. Getting to belief is a chunked activity. First, be confident in your ability to do a morning routine. And confidence has to start in your personal life. That's where it's built. Confidence isn't necessarily flashy, it's felt. People assume that being confident means being loud, being boastful. No. The way that you build confidence is by building trust within yourself. The way that you build trust within yourself is by doing the things every day when nobody's watching, doing the things that are meaningful to you, honoring the routines in your life, giving yourself a goal and a plan and adhering to that. Confidence is a character trait. It's not a mask. It's not a thing you put on. It's a thing you possess. It's a thing that you grow and you build. And when you've built it and when you've laid a foundation for confidence, because I know if I said that I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. I know if I said I'm going to eat healthy, I'm going to do it. And when you start doing that, that's when you start believing in yourself. And then once you believe in yourself in that way, can't nobody tell you otherwise, because you know what you do. If you say you're going to be someone who honors a morning routine, goes for a walk every day, and you do that, and not that you do that and you post about it every day, not that you do that and you make it into content, but you just do that. And now you know your internal clock, your internal body, everything within you knows. You've now registered. Our bodies are like programming systems. Once you've downloaded a particular program through routine, through consistency, through discipline, your body knows. It's now downloaded into your internal processor, and can't nobody tell you otherwise. You got the files to prove it. And confidence isn't even about proving, it's about being. Building confidence is about becoming. And once you do that, you have no other option. You're not going to do nothing but believe in yourself, because you've proven to yourself time and time and time again what you're capable of. So start there. If you're someone who is struggling with believing that your calling is yours, start with building your confidence. Start with one thing, right? And I've talked about this before, not getting overwhelmed and trying to be a guru at everything, right? So we want to just do a whole factory reset and follow, like I've said, every suggestion on our Instagram feeds, and we want to do this, and they tell you life shouldn't be this way and you shouldn't be eating this. Maybe you don't start with changing your diet right away. Maybe you need to just make sure you drink more water. Your journey and your story is not everyone's, and so you have to understand that you can't psych yourself out with this concept of comparison, because you're not called to the same thing the person you're comparing yourself to is. I guarantee you. And even if you are, it's not in the same way. You're a different person than them, and you have to live in and believe and honor that. Okay? The call is for you is we can't get paralyzed by our own potential. And so our calling is downloaded into us. It's the vision that we see. It's the goal that's been set in front of us, the way of life in which we have been summoned to live, and we have to pursue actions to get there. But we sometimes get paralyzed that because of who we've been, right? And we just talked about that. and you're so used to being a particular way, you're so used to life treating you a particular way that you can't even fathom being the one to move in this thing. But you know there's something in you, and I am very guilty of having been this way. You know what you're capable of, because just like your calling is downloaded in you, the belief in your potential is also downloaded in you in the same way. So you know that, but sometimes you get paralyzed. How could you start to think, how could little old me do all of this? And you start thinking about how big the end is, how big the other side is, because we're never ending in our growth as long as we're here. But you think about how big and how glorious the other side is, that you get paralyzed by potential. Yes, I could do this, but I don't know how. And I wrestle with, even sometimes now, like, I have all these ideas and all of them are big and bold and amazing, and people tell you to move into that thing. But what if there's so many things and you get so scared? How can I do all of that by myself? I'm here to tell you that you have to trust the process. You have to understand that what you need, who you need, and how you're going to get there is going to be placed in front of you. Just like in the spirit of Black History Month, Dr. Martin Luther King says that faith is taking the first step even when you can't see the whole staircase. You have to trust the steps. Sometimes you're moving with a flashlight. You ain't got no lights to light the way. You ain't got an overhead light. The sun ain't shining. All you got is a flashlight and faith, and you got to move with what's right in front of you. What can I do with what's in front of me? I don't have the money for the podcast studio, but what I can see is this microphone and this garage band on my computer. What I can see is connecting with the network of people that love and support me and are around me. What I can see is right in front of me, so let me pour into that. And so then when you pour into that, you start to gather more people. You start to see how can it expand, and then you move in that. But always keep in sight of the vision, always looking up. And so don't get paralyzed by your potential. Don't be so in awe of what you've been called to do that you don't move into the action of pursuing it. Because remember, the action portion is primarily towards an aim. You're trying to achieve a certain thing. So you can't get paralyzed. You can't get so in awe. Don't get starstruck by the life that you haven't even started to move into yet. Because yes, it's possible, but only possible if you act in it, if you move in it, if you operate as that, if you've built that confidence to be able to believe in yourself. So don't be so in awe. Shake yourself up. Splash the water on your face. And you have to start to move into that, right? And you probably are in awe because you see how big and bold and beautiful this is. So show the world what you are seeing so that the world can be in awe of your gift and your calling too. Because you're in awe and you're raveling at how beautiful this vision is. Sometimes I've been moved to tears by the things God has shown me that I'm capable of, but I have not been able to move into action. I'm not going to say I have been deciding not to move and act within them. But the world needs to be in awe too. God gives you this thing and then he's like, show the world what I showed you. Don't get stuck. Don't be in awe. That's when we're in that loop of what if, and it would be nice if, and this is a cool idea. Bring it out. Let us see it. Let us ravel. Let us be in awe with you. Okay? Next thing. Don't be so afraid of the unknown in the middle of your journey that you never give yourself the opportunity to arrive at the certainty that is at the end. I will say that again because that was a lot, but it's impactful. Don't be so afraid of the unknown that's in the middle of your journey to fulfilling your calling that you never give yourself the opportunity to arrive at the certainty that's at the end. Okay? Now, fear is a beast. Me and fear have a unfortunately common relationship. Not common. Unfortunately consistent relationship. And so don't be afraid, like I said, because you can't see the full staircase. Just focus on the first step. Because the only thing that is true, if you get afraid of moving, is that you will never make it to what you have already been shown is at the end. Or on the other side. I'm going to stop saying the end, because the end, there is no end to what you're capable of. So, understand that the arrival, though, isn't a thing. And that's what we get mixed up too. Like, once I get here, I'm going to get this thing. And things that I've already accomplished, I felt like I was going to get a particular thing, right? So the arrival is not the reward. It's who you become at the end, or at the other side. I'm going to stop saying the end. It's who you become, right? It's not a tangible accomplishment, but a state of being. Who are you going to become if you fulfill that calling? Who are you going to become if you act within that? Who are you going to become if you prioritize building your belief through building confidence? That's what you need to move in. And the calling and the action and the gift is just how you get there. The gift, the talent, the thing, the business, the book, the podcast. That's how you get there. But who are you going to be at the end of that? Okay? With that being said, I'm going to leave y'all with that. I want you all to believe that you're called. And then I want you to move and act on said calling. Okay? Again, happy Black History Month. We moving into Women's History Month and my birthday. Starting off Women's History Month on the 1st. For my OG Universal Tees people, keep your ear to the streets, because I'm going to do a little OG Universal Tees type of vibe real soon. So make sure that you are in tune and you are a part of that. So with that being said, I love y'all. Bye.